So fair value gap, and we push to a new high here. So on this push back in, we've got structure here, right? I believe that was at 33. I went long at 34. I ran it by 1 point. And also, one of the things to note, the RTH low is a level. It's a real level. And so when we got back up and we came back in, I got core strategy structure. I've got the RTH low. Yeah, we had Trump speaking. It can go either direction. But I took 1 micro long here. And at this point, I'm debating, okay, I am counter. What do I want to capture? So got to push up to this strong, pushed in. Got to push up to this strong, getting a push in. So now I really want this strong to defend. All right, I can easily capture a 10-pointer. In fact, I think I'm going to do that. Go ahead and just move my stop to a 10-pointer. I am counter. So let's be prudent. 10 points is still a good day. I mean, yeah, I could capture 30 right now. I would probably say that's a great entry with your stop below this little wick here. In fact, that's battle plan 1 is what this is right here. But just to have that discussion, so I could lock in 10 points here, or I could lock in 20. And let's say it came back and got me at 20. And then price pops back above here and does this. I can enter this trade here, and mentally I got 10 points to play with because I captured an additional 10 points from my original idea. All right, so battle plan 2 was down there. Battle plan 1 was us getting up here, doing this move. Battle plan 1 also remarked this was a great add-on location if you were long from below. I didn't like the time frame of where we were, so I chose not to add there. What do? How do you trade this? You'd have had to take that trade and survive a double tap, or you were earlier here, and when Trump's speaking, that's a little bit of a risky trade, but your out is not that far away. All right, guys, this is real difficult to want to trade here, but if this thing pushed back into here and you were interested in a long, there's no structure other than a strong level and the fact that we are having a near parabolic move. Also, if you're looking at this and you're frustrated, it's just time to make sure your platform's closed and go, hey, not my move on my terms. We did have an opportunity here. You'd had to survive a double tap. And at this point, we're up near 60 points. So let's zoom out just a little bit. Where is a 100-pointer? I want to map it out. So 100-pointer had put us getting back above the Sunday opening. Now, I think at this time, I'm going to move my stop to capture 30 points. That'll be here. Slide you to 30. And essentials. Unfortunately, I think that's above the opening. It is just above the opening, which kind of stinks. But at this point, you don't really even want it to get close to the opening. I'm at least behind the overnight structure. And I'm capturing 50% of the move when I'm counter. The 2026 opening price is still up here. If this thing pushed in and bounced, it did something like this, and you were confident in, hey, I need to be long, that would make an awful lot of sense here. If this thing pushed to the bottom, got back up over top. Now, it's still a tough place to go long because you're against the trend line. This thing very well could just vomit through. It's a tough place to look for a long. But you can also do it really small. Let's say your normal position size is 10 contracts. Well, do it with 1. Who cares? 1 contract can pay really, really well if you're in the right move. This seems to be pushing through the trend line and coming back and back testing it against a strong range. I mean, this is not a bad trade inside the strong range, either the top, the middle, or the bottom. Let your risk appetite decide what you want to do if it's going to do that. Nice post, Joe. I find myself no longer reacting to FOMO when the market moves. I think this is some progress in my trading maturity. Absolutely. I think there will be another trade opportunity. Absolutely. And so I find myself calmer in watching a big move that I missed entering on. There is another high probability trade around the corner. That corner could be tomorrow. You know, it could be the next day. It may or may not be today. And if we can get in line with that, you know, like Chad commented, it was Chad. Chad said last night, a fantastic quote and reminder for me in today's battle plan. Quote, trading is mostly waiting and resisting the emotional urge to trade. How true. If I ever got a tattoo, it would probably be this, which is now my mantra. Another high probability trade is around the corner. Overnight, in my opinion, was strong. And then you get that one dip, triple battle here at the strong range where we're looking for battle plan 2. And then you could have, if you were trading at that time, could have entered here. Or as we discussed when we were live, you could enter here. You'd have had to survive a double tap, which we discuss every day when the bears control. Expect double and triple taps. And in fact, was it in last night's battle plan? I talked about the negative position. You know, if you aren't reading the review, you know, one of the things I'm trying to do in the review is I'm trying to make it really good education, really good hitting back hard on the reminders. Holding a lotto runner in the negative position can be powerful. This lets your runner survive with double and triple taps. If you love the trade location, this is often the best way to stay in a trade. Very true. So stay out of the way. So here it came back. It didn't quite hit the strong range. It front ran it, which is shows what? Strength of the move. And so discussion of a long here, discussion of a long against the strong range. You'd had to front run this move. This is now showing bulls are saying, okay, you're mine. Shorts are leaving. And here it was still bears control. Bulls are battling. You had to survive a double tap. So you had to survive a double tap here and had to front run here. At this point, I don't want it to get under that strong range. Can I lock in 40 and stay under the strong range? I can, but barely. And it's not the money, it's the structure. You know, keeping it at the 30, I'm protected by several things. I'm protected by, honestly, the trend line now. I am protected by the strong range. I am protected by a backside, and I am protected by a front side. That's a lot of protection layers for the lotto runner. Coming into the 2026 open price against this strong level, if we can clear that, as was mapped out in the AM briefing, very nice. We'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. Took previous day high. Clear break of the trend line, the back test of the trend line. You'd had to front run the strong range to be in that trade. Let's just hope it's not a liquidity grab and ladder back. Although if you're flat, you wouldn't mind that. Slam back in, give a short here, and as I said, you had to be either long early while he was speaking, or survive a double tap, or front run the back test of the trend line and the strong range. And then after that, there's just nothing. If I was flat, I'd come here and say, okay, we just grabbed the high. We got to drop in time frames. We're going to look for evidence of laddering back, because that very well could happen. That's the proper play here now. We'll drop in time frames, look for evidence of laddering back. Still a battle. Seems like a big inflection point here. All right, so it technically took previous day high. It's trying to leave a little fair value gap here. You'd really like to see, if you were looking for a short, for it not to take it, or if you took that as a trade, you know, you have your out up here. You said, hey, I'm going to take a little chance here. Battle at the yearly open. Price certainly did an amazing move. Wouldn't be a shock there's some profit taking. As I said, the ideal stop for my move is here against the 2026 open, but I'm going to give it a chance. All right. So in a 1 minute, that's where we talked about if you wanted to take that short against that level, against the strong level, you know, you can have your out above the high. And if it moves, you know, a few points in your favor, you know, go for break even. All right. So if you took that short there, you now have been given that 10 pointer. I don't know if it's counter or not. It's counter to the day. Larger structure, it may not be counter at all. So I would take that gift of that 10 pointer and be a happy boy. So that's why when it took yesterday's RTH high, we dropped in time frames to look for a possible ladder back. It's not an unusual thing for it to do. It's up 80 something points from the overnight low. Not shocking. Where's 20? So to the strong level there. All right, let's see if it wants to drop down into here. Wouldn't be a shock. Get rid of the weak longs. Yeah, wow, beautiful. I added at 68. And now locking what would be a 20 pointer. So no longer need that. No longer need that. And if all I make is a net 20 pointer, that's okay. It's certainly a friendly reminder of why I stopped trading when I typically stop trading. Now I'm going to put the stop to my add-on at my entry, so it's no longer at risk. The add-ons are now just additional profit. So I added at 68. It's now up several points, so I'm going to put my stop back at 68 for the add-on. It'll change the math of my trade if it gets me out, but it's okay. And then I'm going to put this back at my 30 pointer, which would have been 54. Okay. Been here. So I added at 68. I'm up several points. The add-on is now at break even. The initial contract is still at 30. Thank you, Ron. We'll see what happens. Doesn't matter now. I added contracts with no additional risk. And now if it goes, it's going to be a beautiful thing. So if you took that short, man, you got paid nicely. Congratulations. 2 more points and I'm out. And if for some reason I survive this, it's one of the reasons that's good about going to the grocery store instead of watching it. You just go to the grocery store. You don't care anymore. You know, the only thing that stinks, it messes up your DOM because now the trade is based off the 88 instead of my 24. So, but it's fine. When you add, that's something you have to, on Tradeovate, you have to be mindful of that and be real clear about where your original entry was and where that stop is, because it shows it's a loser, but it's not, because this was a break even. You know, and when you do an add-on, so I did an add-on here, and once that moves this way, I have 2 choices. Do I treat that as an independent trade by itself, which I did, or do I treat it as a combination? Well, originally I treated it as a combination, and I went, okay, I'll take a 20 pointer, which is $100 combined for the option to add to my trade. But then when it moved, I said, all right, I'm now going to trade it separately. And that's how I did it. Doesn't mean it's right, because you could just trade it as a average the whole time. Almost out at my 30. My goodness. I didn't see that happening. Got to be honest. So, man, we back tested the 2026 opening price again after taking that RTH. You know, it's so funny. You could have took that short and you made more than I made. Wow. You just never know, do you? Well, well, well. Almost out. All right, so this is real time, George, and oh my gosh, price is just starting to go stupid. Told my group, stand down. I wanted to be long into this so bad, but hey. So just wanted to recap. Went long here, could have took my 80 there. It came back and got me at my 30. And then when we got off Zoom, I told the group, if it takes out the IB low and ladder back up, I'm going long. So I did take this long, had to survive triple taps. It went up to here, captured half of that move. It is what it is. And then you get this sort of stupid move here. What do you do? What do you do? I would have had to do the 3 contract system here and keep one back at my entry to be in that. But I'm not taking 3 contracts pre-market when Trump is speaking. I'm just not going to do that. So no big deal. You capture what you can capture. I mean, in hindsight, do I wish I would have taken the 80 pointer? No. I was playing as best I could. Emotionally, I'm disappointed. But intellectually, I believe I did the right thing. As I said, I didn't want to move my stop to a 40 pointer. I really wanted all this area to serve as some sort of protection layers to protect me, but price had different plans. It doesn't always go the way you want it to go. So it is what it is. And then you get this stupid move here. Just be careful. So that's a recap of the morning. I don't think there's anything else I want to add. So I did add to my contracts here, like you saw. It came back and got me. Oh, well, adjusted this back to my 30 pointer and it got me. What do? It's real simple what you do next. You wait for the next high probability trade around the corner.